Hello, Bob. Good to see you again. Let's dive straight into the questions. Usually this is quite a busy period in macroeconomics. Is this going to be the case also in the upcoming week?
Busy week ahead for the global financial markets. For the US dollar, we have inflation figures early in the week. Obviously, market's pet topic. Any spike in inflation could quieten the FOMC doves that have been pegging the dollar back of late. Industrial production figures will also be in focus ahead of retail sales and jobless claims figures on Thursday. A marked decrease in jobless claims and a jump in retail sales would be a big step for the dollar and for the FOMC hawks. At the end of the week, economic sentiment figures will also draw interest. For the pound, busy week ahead. Key stats, claimant counts and unemployment figures early in the week. Then we've got inflation and retail sales figures. All three will be particularly important from a monetary policy perspective and on whether the pound can start making a move back toward 1.4 levels. For the euro, it's a relatively busy week as well. We've got industrial production and trade data, then we've got finalized inflation figures as well. Those will draw plenty of interest. Obviously, there's been some uncertainty over the economic outlook, so the markets will be looking for positive numbers from the Eurozone.
Who should the traders for Aussie, Kiwi and Loonie watch?
For the Loonie, following last week's Bank of Canada policy decision, relatively quiet week. The key stat of the week will be inflation midweek. There's also manufacturing sales and wholesale sales figures due out, but we'll expect inflation to be the key stat. And obviously we've got market risk sentiment and crude oil prices to continue to influence. For the Aussie dollar, business and consumer confidence and employment figures due out. Obviously we've got lockdown measures in place, so that's going to impact both business and consumer confidence and employment conditions. So let's have a look and see how much of an impact lockdown measures have had and what that implication will be on monetary policy. For the Kiwi dollar, quiet week, but an important one. Second quarter GDP numbers and business PMI figures. We saw retail credit card transactions take a dive according to figures released last week. So, the markets will be prepped for some disappointing numbers in the week ahead.
What about the Asian currency traders? Anything coming out of China or Japan?
The Japanese yen, quiet week ahead really. BSI large manufacturing conditions data due out early in the week, and later in the week we've got trade data that will also draw plenty of interest, see how the Japanese economy is faring and whether trade terms have improved. Finalized industrial production figures due out midweek should have a muted impact on the yen and the broader market. For the Chinese yuan, busy week really. We've got fixed asset investment, industrial production and retail sales figures. Obviously, economic data out of China has been somewhat disappointing, raising red flags over the economic outlook and the resilience of growth. So expect these figures to draw plenty of interest.
Meanwhile, is there anything going on in geopolitics? Is there anything that could impact the Forex market?
On the geopolitical risk front, nothing really new to talk about. Usual suspects, keeping an eye on Russia and China and the Middle East and Iran in particular. And obviously there's Afghanistan. So these remain the areas of focus, with any increased tensions likely to test support for riskier assets at this current time.
Thank you, Bob. I'm sure we'll see you again next week. It was a pleasure talking to you. Be sure to check out all of our social media platforms and be sure to subscribe to Dukascopy TV. Thank you and goodbye.